Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Sense for Thoughts. I'm Mo, and today we're back decluttering my collection that has gone out of control. This is episode 2. If you missed the first episode, I explained that in the past 3 months or so, in the summer period, my collection has basically doubled and has become out of control due to a multitude of reasons. If you have missed that one, go check it out. And we managed to declutter a few ambers from my collection to make space and mental clarity. And today, for the second episode, it's a bit of a weird one. You might be thinking, how is Dior Homme a category of perfume? That's ludicrous. Well, let me explain. Over the past year or so, I've had an obsession with Dior Homme. I've loved Dior Homme and Dior Homme adjacent perfumes for a very long time. When I first started wearing perfumes more regularly in my early 20s, I had Valentino Uomo Intense, the original version before they ruined it, which was a clone, of course, of Dior Homme Parfum. And luckily, I managed to snag one of these before they discontinued it. This is one of the 100 ml ones. So even before I was deep into the game, I had a deep appreciation for the Dior Homme kind of scent signature, if you like, in perfume style. Obviously, I wore Prada L'Homme, which is quite similar as well in many ways, and definitely inspired by Dior Homme. So this is why it's a category and deserving of its own video. Also because I have way too many Dior Hommes. I actually had one more Dior Homme than today, and it was the Dior Homme, not silver stem, but black stem, but not Dior Homme original. Complicated, but I'll explain. But I gifted that one to my friend Daniel from Seldomly Often. Shouts out to him when he came to visit. So I have one less. I gifted one away. But let's list the ones I have and let's go through them and see if we can declutter this Dior Homme situation. How many Dior Hommes does one man really need, right? So let's start off in chronological order. This is the original Dior Homme Silver Stem, the only one of these not perfumed by François Demachy. This is actually perfumed by Olivier Polge. This is the original one, 2005 to 2009, and it is made by the son of Jacques Polge, who obviously has been, or was at a certain time, the head perfumer of Chanel for like 30 years, the biggest competitor to Dior. His son, when he was first started out, made this masterpiece. And it really is a masterpiece. It's very rare to get. It has the silver stem. 2009, it was reformulated into Dior Homme Normal, which I don't have because I gifted that to my friend Daniel. But basically, it looked exactly the same as this, but it had a black stem. And then in 2020, that was reformulated to this one here, which is Dior Homme Original, which has original on it. Now, before I gifted Daniel the one in the middle, I did wear and do A to B comparisons, not on camera, just for my own personal knowledge. And to be honest with you guys, they're very similar. Do not be concerned. Just get Dior Homme Original if you are interested. Anything with the black stem, which is either Dior Homme 2009 to 2020, or after 2020, Dior Homme Original. To me, they smell the same. This one is 2020, so it's pre-Lily Alban, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be absolutely fine if you buy a more modern one. So that's one thing out of the way. I also have a Dior Homme Intense. I have the Dior Homme Parfum, and I have Dior Homme Eau, which is a bit of a funny one. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it was 6, but now there is 5 Dior Hommes. And to be honest with you, by the end of this video, hopefully it'll only be 1 or 2. Okay, let's see how we can do. This is not pre-planned. I'm going to do this live on camera with you guys, just so you can get a feel for my thought process. I don't tend to do this on a whim. I just tend to wear them and recalculate and see how I'm getting on. And there's a few of these I've not really been reaching out for. So that's what triggered this declutter. So let's begin with a nice and easy one, Dior Homme Parfum. As you can imagine, this is going nowhere. This is one of my favorite perfumes ever. It's one of the best designers ever. Yes, I believe that statement. I know it's so well appreciated and well loved in Fragcom that it's almost become a bit overhyped, if that's even a thing with this. But this is the best. This is my first love. I had a clone because Valentino was way cheaper than Dior. When I was younger, I was like in school and in high school / going to university. So I could not afford to buy Dior. So I had the Valentino, and now a little bit older, I've got this bad boy here. It's going nowhere. I love it. I think it's my favorite of the whole lineup, to be honest with you guys. It's the one that really goes all the way in, you know. It doesn't really try and please people that much. It's not the most challenging, but it's the heaviest. It has the biggest dose of iris. It has that leather. I know it's listed in the notes, and I'm one of the few people to actually get the rose and to actually get the oud. In terms of the performance for this one, I think people do exaggerate it a little bit. It has very good longevity, but to me, it's not really a beast. There, I said it. So actually, if it was, it would be preferred. But I love it. It's going nowhere. This is probably one of my favorite perfumes ever. So Dior Homme Parfum is not getting decluttered. That's for sure. Now, the one that is getting decluttered, it has to be Dior Homme Intense. Okay, Dior Homme Intense is a bit of a funny one. So I'm a middle child. Okay, and the first child is always the favorite, right, guys? This is the first child of the Dior Homme family. It's the pride and joy. It's the original. The parents love it. People tend to love the first child. It is what it is, right? And then Dior Homme Parfum is like the last child. Also very, very well loved, right? Because they're the last one, the youngest one, the most babied one. And they're kind of a bit like too fancy. They didn't really see any struggle. Like when parents tend to have their last child, usually many years later, they tend to be a bit more well off and more experienced. So they had it easy. This guy, so no struggle. This is the youngest child. Okay. So then there comes a middle child. Okay. And I tried to relate to this perfume because I'm a middle child. He's kind of like in the middle. Okay. Technically, should be the best of both worlds, right? I believe I'm the best of both worlds. Anyway, I'm biased. But he's not quite like the first one. Okay. But he's not quite as young and cool and edgy like the younger one. He's kind of in the middle, the black sheep of the family. The funny thing is that I think Dior Homme Intense is the most popular and best seller of the entire line. And I really try to love it as the most versatile option that balances power and lightness and mass appeal with longevity, which the original doesn't have. So I bought a bottle. It was 2022 or 2023, and I got poor performance, and I was just like, just commit, either be that full heavy parfum or be lighter and be the EDT. I wasn't very satisfied with it. Then I went down that rabbit hole of, oh, Dior Homme Intense got reformulated. You need to get a vintage one. Now, I do believe it's been reformulated, guys. Okay, it's not a lie. And I do believe that the older one is probably better. Okay, that's also not a lie. A lot of people that I respect have said that it's been reformulated. People like Rich Mitch, Raffi, who adores Dior Homme, the whole DNA, have said that the original one is a little bit better. So I sold that one, and then I got this partial bottle. This is not my dent. It's most certainly not my dent. Okay, I've worn this a couple times, but I've not drained this much juice. And this is 2020. This is the oldest I could get. So it's pre-Lilial formulation. People say you need to go even older than that, but that's totally ridiculous. This one I did not seek. It kind of just appeared in one of my trade groups for dirt cheap. And by chance, I could see in the photo, because they take a photo like this, you can kind of see the barcode. And I was like, oh, it's a 0. That means it's 2020. So I went for it, and it does perform a little bit better. I've got it on here, actually. No, sorry. It does perform a little bit better than the new one. It is a little bit more powdery and irisy, a little bit less sweet and vanillic, but it still has the same problems that, for me, I would rather commit and go with the Parfum, just go all out. Or if I want a lighter experience, I'll happily go for one of the lighter options. So this one, for me, I just don't wear because I don't like this jack of all trades thing. I like the perfume to have a bit more character and commitment. And to me, this one doesn't commit. It tries to please too many people. I know I'm in the minority because this is the best seller of the line. And for some people, they just need to own this and they get the same vibes of the EDT and the Parfum and it does the trick. But to me, there's a lot of compromise in this and a lot of people pleasing in this. So I will be selling this Dior Homme Intense vintage, if we can even call it that, to be honest with you guys. Ludicrous, but it is technically an older bottle. So now we've gotten rid of one Dior Homme Intense, let's tackle the main bulk of this video, which is the lighter Diors. Now, we have three light Diors, the EDTs, if you like. We have the Silver Stem, we have the Dior Homme Original, which is the Demachi reformulation. Now, let's talk about these, give you guys a bit of background information in case you're not familiar. So, Chanel has Jacques Spolge, okay? He's been killing it. He worked with Demachi for many years. He's made Antaeus, Egoist, etc., 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 and is recently retired. And his son, Olivier Polge, who is the current head perfumer of Chanel, did not just jump into that driver's seat, you know, as his first job. He went around a bit and made perfumes for other people, including this for Dior. So Dior hired a creative director for the entire brand, by the way, not just the perfumes, called Hedi Slimane. And now Hedi is a genius. Okay, there's no other way to describe the man. He is one of the most influential people in fashion. He's the reason why you guys probably wore, you know, slimmer, skinnier jeans growing up, okay? He was a huge influence across all cultures. He was just that guy, and he had such crazy visions, and he's so multi-talented that he also had a vision that he wanted to rebrand Dior to be this kind of what's described as metrosexual kind of man, the Dior Homme, the Dior man, to be this kind of guy who is more goth in a way, dressed in sleek, skinny jeans, in black and black leather, and has a clean shaven face, bit of a baby face, but he has a bit of an edge. And it's like the anti-masculinity that came from the 90s and the early 2000s. And then this was the masterpiece that they dropped to kind of do that. And the fashion matched the perfumes. If you're into fashion, you know that Dior Homme matches Dior Homme. And this actually, I know people say this is a lazy name, but this is a perfect name for this kind of perfume. These should be called Dior Homme because that was the entire brand. This was the entire identity, and it matched throughout. People talk about, oh, there's a DNA in the perfumes. This was a DNA in the whole brand. Every single product they would release had this vibe. And this is a true masterpiece, I have to say, because it was in the face of the Acqua di Gios, the aquatics of the time. Everyone is trying to be this macho, traditional man. And he came and said, let's do Iris, and you're going to smell like lipstick and a women's purse and a women's makeup bag, and you're going to like it. And guess what? We love it, okay? So this is special perfume to me. It is historically very, very important. Hedi Slimane obviously later left. I believe he went to Saint Laurent after that, very shortly after, actually. And this was Olivier Polge's first masterpiece and probably his most important perfume. It was Hedi Slimane's most important perfume in his tenure as creative director of Dior. And it's just absolutely amazing. Now, when it comes to these two, okay, I'm going to count this as just the same as the middle one because to me, they literally are very, very similar. The Silver Stem, to me, I know this is going to be controversial, smells completely different to this perfume. To me, it's not even comparable. The reason they got Demachi in as an in-house perfumer, by the way, a bit more history lesson, skip ahead if you get bored. Olivier Polge was a young and up-and-coming perfumer, and he was one of those that was signed to one of those big companies. And the big companies own the material supply. It's really bad practice, actually. It's totally unfair. So the oil companies have the perfumers signed. So Givaudan, IAF, etc., Robertet. And on one side, they own the perfumers and get them business and thus own some of the formula and thus get paid royalties per sale, is my belief. Okay, if they own the formula, they get paid per sale for the life span of that perfume. Because who owns the formula? Olivier Polge's parent company, which I don't know what it's called, but it's one of those Givaudan, IAF, etc. And Chanel are kind of the opposite. So Chanel have an in-house perfumer, which is Jacques Polge, and they own the formulas because they own the perfumer in a way, and they go and buy their own supplies. So they go and buy the materials. So they can basically make a lot more profit per bottle, is my understanding at Chanel. And Dior looked at that and thought, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to sell a ton of these. From 2005 to 2009, they must have sold quite a fair bit because it was quite popular and everyone started to copy it. And they thought, hold on, we're not making as much money as possible. Let's hire an in-house perfumer. Now, they couldn't hire Olivier because he was just the new kid on the block. He was too young. Just not a good fit. So they went with Francois Demachy. Now, Francois Demachy is an older gentleman with a ton of experience. He actually worked for Chanel under Jacques Polge for many years. He's co-produced a few of the stuff that you probably love and had no idea he was involved in. Antaeus and Egoist, for example. His name is on there. They worked together for years, and he wanted to leave Chanel and kind of graduate into one of the big boys. So he became the in-house perfumer. They were like, let's reformulate it. So we have a new formula, smells kind of the same, and we'll buy our own materials, cut out the Olivier and his parent company and take all the profits ourselves, and he'll look after our perfume lines very, very well. So they brought in Demachy. Now, Olivier Polge is most certainly a Polge, okay? And what do I mean by that? Is that this smells like a Chanel perfume. The way it's made, it has these subtle kind of touches. It's just more classy, more elegant. It's very smooth and rounded. It's like a Rolls Royce. To me, this one is a bit fresher. It's a bit more acidic and pissy, a bit more lavendery. And not anywhere near as chocolatey and irisy. It's more of has more fougere touches to me, the Silver Stem. It smells very, very elegant to me. It smells very high class. When I wear this, I kind of feel like I should be in a shirt. It's not as casual. So Demachy came, and this is a very Demachy example of his perfumes, okay? This is probably more wearable, I have to say. It's easier to like, it's easier to wear, it's less elegant, it's less smooth, it's a little bit of a worse blend. It's most certainly a bit more chocolatey and irisy and more mass appealing. To me, one of the reasons why I don't really want to keep this is because I think Dior Homme Original does this Dior Homme Intense's job, but does it better. So this is why for me, Dior Homme Intense is an easy, declutter. Now, when it comes to Dior Homme Original, out of all of the ones that I have, it's probably the easiest to wear. My only issue with it is that the longevity is very, very poor. I got this bottle for about £45, absolute bargain for this 50 ml. It's a bit more difficult to find because they're not selling as much of it anymore. But it's super, super easy to wear. Matter of fact, I'll wear it right now as my scent of the night. So this does this lipsticky iris thing with chocolate, with a little bit of acidity and freshness to keep it light. It smells absolutely fantastic, and I really, really do love it. Now, Dior Homme, I have to say, is, to me, the Silver Stem is less wearable. And I reach for this one less often, simply because it just smells so classy and elegant. And I feel like, also because it's really rare and I only have 50 ml of it, and I really do value its place in the zeitgeist, it makes me not want to waste it and save it for more special occasions. Whilst this one, to me, is pretty disposable. I can just throw it on and have no problems. Now, I have to be honest, guys. I'm being totally ridiculously biased. I'm being biased because this has a reputation. This has a place because of Hedi Slimane and Olivier Polge historically. And I'm being biased because actually I think I prefer to wear and do wear more often the Dior Homme Original. When it comes to decluttering, it feels wrong to get rid of the Silver Stem and go with Dior Homme Original. because this is not as good, not as well made, and doesn't have as much historical value to me, or sentimental value, or emotional connection to the brand, whilst this one stands for a lot more. Then there is Dior Homme O. This one is the most recent acquisition, also discontinued. Not very much said about this one. This is very similar to Dior Homme Original, the EDT, but they just up the freshness. The lemoniness is just insane. Let me put some more on. It has this incredibly fresh vibe, and it's absolutely amazing. It's like a summertime Dior Homme. This one you'd struggle to wear in the summer, for me personally, in the high heat, because of the powderiness and chocolatiness. This is basically what this smells quite similar to Dior Homme Intense and Dior Homme Parfum in a way, just a much lighter version. The silver stem is almost too good to wear. So I have this predicament of these 3 EDTs, and realistically, ideally, I should only be keeping one of them. And now I need to have a think and see where I'm going to go. I'm going to spray all of these on one last time and make a decision for you guys. One thing that I do have to say about the Dior Homme Silver Stem, it doesn't have one of the crazy pressurized atomizers that all the others do, which is quite annoying. It just is weak. So let's start off by talking about Dior Homme O. Okay, it smells quite similar, like an improved version of an old perfume that I really loved and wore a lot of, and then decluttered earlier on in my journey, Prada L'Homme. This just smells like a better version of it, just more HD, more well-defined, higher quality ingredients and materials used, and it does last a considerably longer amount of time. And I do have 100 ml of it, so I can really spray it on and just be satisfied. When it comes to the Dior Homme Silver Stem, whilst it is the most valuable and the most rare, and I would get the most money decluttering it, it just feels a bit wrong to sell it. Even though I do wear this one more often, I think I just need to accept and start wearing my perfume, and if it runs out, no problem. So I think as of today, what I'm going to be doing is, I think I've had enough of that Prada L'Homme kind of scent profile, and this really does remind me of it. So even though it's fantastic and I really do enjoy wearing it, and it's very fresh, I will be decluttering it, to be honest with you guys, simply because I think I've had my fair share of this kind of scent profile, and it's time for me to move on and have someone else enjoy. And I'm going to be getting rid of Dior Homme Original, this little 50 ml, and I'll be keeping Dior Homme Silver Stem. So just to confirm, we started with 5, but only 2 remain. So we have Dior Homme Parfum, that was a no-brainer. And for now, it's going to be the Silver Stem. I'm going to make a bigger effort to wear this, even though it has such historical importance, and it has and it's very rare and difficult to get hold of. I'm going to stop, gatekeeping it and start wearing it a bit more, especially to work, and see how I get on. And with a heavy heart, we'll be saying goodbye to Dior Homme O, arguably one of the better ones actually, but just because I've had enough. And Dior Homme Original, even though it's a brilliant perfume, I think I will stick with the Olivier Polge one, just because it's slightly better and it's more different, whilst this one is a bit, very Dior Homme Parfum, samey kind of vibe. So that was actually very challenging. I did this without any preconceived plans of which ones I was getting rid of. I've just been wearing them and kind of preparing to talk about them, but not really made a huge effort to declutter them in my head. But now I feel satisfied. Narrowed it down to just 2. I'm very comfortable with that amount. This time next year, maybe we'll look at the statistics, see if I've been wearing the Dior Homme Silver Stem. And if not, I'm more than happy to get rid of that one also. But the first one, the most important one for me, Dior Homme Parfum, is for sure staying. So thank you very much for partaking in this, guys, and watching me declutter my collection. Hopefully that was entertaining, maybe somewhat useful to look into my process. Drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.